Wait a minute. So 6:31. I think we can get started now. Welcome to the November meeting of the Transportation Committee of Community Board 8. I'm Chuck Warren. I'm one of the co-chairs of the committee. My other co-chair, Craig Lader, had to be elsewhere tonight. But we have a lot of items on our agenda, so I think we should get started. The first item on our agenda is a continued discussion about issues related to the accessibility of getting into taxis and black cars. And I don't know if Elizabeth Ashby, who brought that to our attention, is here today. But before we get into that, John, maybe you can just talk about the rules of the road a little bit.
Welcome. Good evening. If it's your first time joining us, you notice you're all currently muted, and I remain muted throughout the meeting except for the co-chairs and the speakers as we move through the agenda, following the presentations and items on the agenda as we go through. The co-chairs will call on members of the public wishing to speak. You can participate by pressing the raise hand feature button below on your screen, not the wave or thumbs up feature, as those will appear. Only press it once. If you press the second time, it'll go back down. If you're currently calling your phone, press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute yourself. Be on the lookout for a prompt. Ask to confirm unmuting once the co-chair is calling you. The chat is available for technical support only and not to ask questions to the co-chairs. They won't see the chat. If you're using an older version of Zoom, go to the React menu, Parse It menu, or the button where it says More, where you will find the React Raise Hand feature there. If you plan to speak during a meeting, please make sure to rename your first and last name in your name in order for us to know who is speaking during the discussion. Please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen as we do not see you. Chat technical support, of course.
Thank you, John. And I know Elizabeth Ashby, who is here, raised this issue about accessibility of getting into taxis and black cars. We asked the Taxi and Limousine Commission if they could come, and we invited them a couple of times, and they basically said they weren't able to come. They couldn't come, but they did clarify. And let me read what they basically sent us. They clarified that as of October 18, 2024, all Italian vehicles, which are yellow cabs, obviously, are now required to, in using their parlance, hack up a wheelchair accessible vehicles, making them ADA compliant. And there's a number of, they have a list of the kinds of vehicles that I looked at their list that are available, and hacking up just means they have to basically get approved the kinds of vehicles. And there are a bunch of vehicles that are rear entry vehicles and side entry, and there are all kinds of stuff that are approved, and they have to have those kinds of vehicles. So taxis essentially from over the last year, and they should have them now, have to be basically wheelchair accessible. And in all new taxi vehicles will be ADA compliant, as the workforce vehicles will move to compliance with TLC regulations. Now, black cars have different regulations on this matter, and what they do is if you have to order a car specifically that is accessible when you're signing up for one of the black cars, and and they're supposed to be able to provide you with some kind of accessible vehicle. And so, and also, it said for concerns over those with walkers and canes getting into vehicles to accommodate this, some vehicles may have side rear entrances, and staff are supposed to, on request, help those needing assistance. And it says, for instituting the recent ADA um, compliant policy on yellow taxis, adding guardrails or some type of additional support um, universally on top of the already existing plans for yellow taxis and to limousine vehicles at this time is not viable. So that was, and they said, you know, if anyone wants to know, they're open to answering any additional questions from the committee or members of the public on this matter. So that's what I just wanted to report, basically what the TLC folks had sent to us. And I don't know whether Elizabeth or other members of the public or the committee have any other things that we ought to go back to them about on this situation. So Elizabeth, why don't we, yeah, Elizabeth, I see you're unmuted. And, you know, anything you'd like to say, be happy to hear.
Well, thank you. Yes, this is something that an enormous number of people have spoken to me about it. I am, as you know, I've had nerve damage and lost my balance, and I'm on what's called a rollator. But every single person who has ever mentioned this is having a hard time uh, because they are so high. And I hope that what they can invent is something that perhaps can be taken, just taken out, like a step, a wide step, because uh, most of the, if it has a little stair, um, it's about 2 inches wide, so that is no use. It takes 2 or 3 people to get me into a taxi. It takes, and everybody has complained about how difficult it is. And because it takes so long, my dog walker, who's perfectly young and obviously walks perfectly well, it takes just enough time that the door closes on her as she tries to get in. Um, I and uh, people who don't have a walker, don't have a cane, um, have complained that it is extremely difficult and dangerous. And I haven't invented, I can't invent something, um, how you do it, but maybe a portable step with a handle on it or something like that would help people do this, because I haven't had anybody who hasn't complained, and not because I asked them to. And I belong to something called Carnegie Hill Village, which is a social group of senior citizens. Every one of them that I've seen complains about this, finds it difficult and dangerous to get in and out. If it's necessary to do a higher car, I don't see why they can't rearrange it. But if they can't, I'm perfectly happy with some gizmo there that gets people in safely. But I really think I'm great and very happy that they've got a wheelchair access, but that doesn't help us. It's just people who just plain have to get their 2 feet and 2 legs into the car who it's just too high. I've had a couple I couldn't even with helpers get in.
Mhm.
So I hope that we can recommend some solution for what is really a very large problem. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth, I mean, one thought I had, and others can talk about it too, because I see we have a couple of board members here who want to talk, is that we can have some kind of something they carry in the trunk that's not too big, but is to give a little lift to people to step on and get into the car. And that's what I thought might be a recommendation we can go back to them with. Lori, let's unmute Lori Boris, one of our board members who wants to speak. Yes,
Yes,
Lori.
thank you, Chuck. I have, first of all, my mother uses a cane and finds it difficult to get in and out of cars. I showed her the handle that you can hold on above the door. Most I don't know if most taxis have them, but a lot of cars have a handle that you can grab onto to sort of pull yourself up. But that being said, I totally understand the problem of not being able to, because cars are not built with people with disabilities in mind. So what I think you might do, and I wish that I had the number, but I don't have the number. There is a service that you can call for to have someone come and bring a I'm sorry, I'm not being very articulate here. You can call for an accessible taxi is what I'm trying to say. And I realize that that's not going to help you when you're on the street and you just want to hail it. But there's a number that you can call the Taxi and Limousine Commission and have them send you an accessible taxi. But I totally hear you. And I just don't think that um, uh, it's right, because for them to build these cars that are unacceptable for people who are aging. We need universal design. But anyway, that's the two questions. The two answers I have is you need to call for an accessible taxi, and if you can, to use the handles that are under the doorway. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you, Lori. I see there was somebody who, was it Max McLaughlin or something? I saw somebody come up and I don't know.
I'm not sure where they went.
I guess they didn't raise I guess they didn't, they put their hand down if they were going to raise it, but then Michelle Birnbaum. It's unmute, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. I recognize that this is a real issue. So a couple of questions and a statement. Actually, I have been in taxis where a driver carries a little portable step.
Right.
So some do. I think it's at the discretion of the driver. As a courtesy, I don't think it's any policy with taxi and limousine or any of the black cars. Maybe we can suggest that it become one.
Right.
However, what I don't know, and we need professional input on this, is why this model of taxi was ordered. I may be wrong, but I understand they came from Canada, which is too bad that we can't have them manufactured in the States. That may or may not be true. That's what I've heard. I can't swear to it. But the point is, where did we get the design, the recommendation from a design team for this model? And if a contract may be up, or maybe we can inquire further and get some kind of briefing as to why these models were chosen. They don't have to be that high to get a wheelchair in, because in most cases, they're not using a wheelchair with a passenger in it. they're taking a wheelchair and folding it and putting it in the back. That's a different accessibility than the ones where you actually, roll in with a wheelchair. I understand the height of those. And those are manufactured pretty much with a well in the back. So there's a little ramp, a wheelchair with the passenger wheels in, but it drops way down. I'm not going to speak to that, but with the other cabs where you just need room for a wheelchair in the back, it doesn't seem like you need this height. So my question, Chuck, is I don't know who do we request this information from, but maybe we can request it from somebody and then have an opportunity to weigh in if we get a report. The other thing I would mention are the sliding doors. Those two are extremely difficult. Now you're seeing more and more cabs with the automatic doors, and of course that's very helpful. The driver operates it. However, the manually operated doors requires a person without high level mobility to twist and pull on a certain level and have a certain amount of strength to actually close those doors. So that's something else to look into. Can we mandate the mechanical ones? Can we brief and encourage drivers to come in and help, etc.? So those are my comments about it. But I recognize that it's an issue.
Thank you. We'll have to see. Well, they've laid out a number of cars that have to be accessible now, and they have a whole bunch of them, Michelle. So there's going to be a lot more accessible ones with side and rear entrances, etc. So I think we'll be able to.
That would be mainly for a person coming in on a wheelchair. But that's not the same thing as storage in the back and accessibility for a person coming in the regular door.
Yeah, well, I think the idea of having some kind of, that you said, some drivers who have something in the trunk,
they do.
and you can use that as a step is a good one, and we might follow up with that in the taxi, and if they mandated that, not just in the taxis but in the black cars too. So we'll follow up with the Elizabeth.
And if we can get some insight as to what their next orders are going to be, what they're taking into consideration. Great.
I agree. And I think you're right about the sliding doors. You see more of them that operate electrically, but that's something that ought to be also mandated. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So we'll follow up on this, Elizabeth, and see if we can get some action here. Okay, item 2 is a public hearing for a new DOT revocable consent to install a hydronic snow melting system at 49 East 67th Street between Madison and Park Avenues. Is there someone here to present that? If they could raise their hand. We have someone by the name of Dean. Are you presenting, Dean? Let's unmute Dean, and you can give us your full name.
Hi, everyone. Yes, hi. This is Dean Harder-Phillips. I'm with Domani Consulting. We were the DOT consultants for the filing of the DOT revocable consent, and we submitted and prepared the drawings that I believe that was shared with the with your team.
Can you tell us a little bit about this system, and do you have anything that you can show us?
Yes, and I also have on the line the architect and the owner's rep as well.
Okay.
So they would be more applicable to share on that. I mean, actual system itself.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. Give
Yep.
us is Clary Shea? Is that
yes?
Also
Yeah, that would be.
Yep. So let's unmute Clary Shea also.
Hi, my name is Clary Shea. I represent the design architect. I'm working with Dean, as he mentioned. He's the expediter for the project, and he's helping us with the filing. I'm on my cell phone, so if there is anything to share, if Dean has it open, would be great if you could share. But the general plan is just to replace sort of replace the sidewalk inside in kind, install a new snow melt system, which we believe will be beneficial to the community in acclimate weather. Also replace the curb in kind, retain any fencing, and also retain any existing plant material. So we think it's like a really subtle intervention that will generally benefit the community.
Well, tell us, is this going to be serviced from inside the building essentially?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, and how is this operated? It says it's a hydronic snow melt system. Is there coils underneath? How does it work?
Yes, that's exactly right. So there'll be coils installed under the new sidewalk, and that will warm the sidewalk and melt the snow in inclement weather. And the sidewalk, one replaced, will look exactly like it does now. So
how long will it take to do that work then?
I also so I actually included the contractor John Arejo, who's here, I believe, as well. Dean, I don't know if you can see him. Again, I'm on my phone, but he's here to talk about sort of sequencing and schedule.
John, yeah, I see him. Is John, can we unmute John Arejo?
Yeah.
Okay, there you are, John. Can you talk to us a little bit about the construction schedule?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is John Arajo. I'm the builder for the project at 49 East 67th Street. So the project consists of removing the existing sidewalk and then installing tubing that will carry hot water through the tubing. And it is controlled all from within. It's an automatic system, which is triggered by a low temperature setting and also moisture. So that will activate the system, and it will work automatically to melt snow and ice. Start to finish, it's a 2-week project. So we will work hard to minimize interruption in the traffic flow in front of the building by providing a path around the work area.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So is there anyone in the public who wants to comment on this? If you do, just raise your hand and we can call on you. I don't see anyone. I see some members here. Michelle, I know you had your hand raised.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that so many of the presenters showed up. However, I'm very disappointed that no one had visuals because we're used to a screen share on this and seeing the visuals. So I think that's unfortunate. Having said this, this is tubes with hot water. If any of these tubes should break, how do you do the repair?
So we have to identify the source of the break and then open the sidewalk, unfortunately.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. That was what I was getting at. Some of these systems have repairs that can be done within, but apparently this is not one of them.
No, ma'am. The tubing is very high quality and it is continuous. So there are no joints which would be prone to leakage. So it's uninterrupted tubing. It's high quality. The name brand is PEX, PEX, and it withstands considerable expansion and contraction and should last a long time.
What's it made out of?
It's a plastic. In simple terms, it's a plastic conduit. The
It
industry
has to
name
have
is
bends
PEX.
in it. If it's a continuous system, then it has bends in it to do the return, correct?
Correct. Yeah. The bends are formed on site in a regular interval to create the loops back to the manifold.
Now, is there any way when you're doing this installation, there have to be some controls? Are the controls accessible from within the home?
Yes, the master controls are all within. There are remote controls that are actually on the surface of the sidewalk, and those are measuring devices which measure the moisture and temperature.
And that
Uh,
determines when the system activates.
Correct.
All right. Is there any way that you can create accessibility from within the home for a possible repair?
Not so easily. Like all of the components that are within the home are very accessible, but what's under the sidewalk is under
not. So there's
it's
no vault.
encapsulated. It's
You don't have a
encapsulated in.
vault?
No, ma'am, not in this instance. So the tubing, to be most effective, is encapsulated in the concrete, and that's how it creates radiation.
Do you have an
Pete, you mean?
average time? Do you have a lifetime?
100 years.
Oh, that might do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
We have someone from the public who wants to comment on this. Is Max McLaughlin? Why don't we unmute him?
Yes. Sorry, I'm Max McLaughlin. Sorry for the late hand. I was just curious what mitigation steps you're doing to prevent ice buildup both on the road or on the neighboring sidewalks that won't have this like melting feature. Because I would imagine that if the snow melts on the particular sidewalk, that water will flow and collect and begin to build as ice.
That's a great question. So there is nothing proactive that addresses that. To some extent, because the heat radiates through the concrete material, it will expand beyond the property lines and afford some meltage there, but really there's nothing else. It is specific to the address.
Okay, thank you. Now let's go to Sebastian Hallam Clark. Sebastian.
Thank you, Chuck. I move that we approve this proposal as presented.
Is there a second to that motion at this point?
See Laurie and DJ.
Is DJ seconding? Did you want to speak to it, DJ? We can unmute DJ if he wants to speak to it. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, just really quickly, the concerns notwithstanding, this seems like a free public improvement for everybody. Doesn't cost us anything. So I agree with Sebastian's motion.
Pretty. Any further discussion on this? Okay, then why don't we vote? Those in favor don't have to do anything. Those who are either opposed or abstaining should raise their hand. And let me make sure I have the attendance right here. And I have, besides me, Lori Boris, Elizabeth Ashby, DJ Falkson, Michelle Birnbaum, Paul Crickler, and Sebastian Hallam Clark. Anyone here that I missed?
I don't see Elizabeth Ashby here anymore.
Maybe Elizabeth left after that. Then
Check
she's
her
not,
to see.
so she's not here. Okay. All right. So is there anyone, as I said, if you're in favor, you don't have to do anything. If you are want to vote no or abstaining, raise your hand. Okay. And that passes unanimously. I'm just okay. All right. Item 3. This is a public hearing on a new DOT revocable consent application to install a stoop and fenced-in area at 132 East 64th Street between Lexington and Park Avenue. And is there someone here to present this? And I see an Andreas Tamarides. Is we can unmute, please unmute him. Are you prepared to present on this? And do
I
you
am
have
prepared to present on this. Thank you.
Okay, and do you have some drawings and stuff that you can,
We do.
okay? Go ahead, maybe you can put them up and tell us what you've got here.
Okay, where are we? We
we
are
go.
here.
Good, okay.
Okay, so this was our DOT presentation. We have, we're planning to install a new stoop. We are 132 and 130 64th Street. We were part of a identical townhouse development in the 1870s. Both of our stoops have been long removed. The house right next to us as well, but at 128, the stoop is still there. I'm gonna go to the pictures. So our property is the stucco building on the left-hand side, right? The two identical buildings. You can see it from, this one is looking towards the west. This one is looking towards the east. And here is our property itself, right? I wanna indicate that the first 5 feet from the building to the sidewalk is actually within our property, and only a portion of the stoop is within the sidewalk. Everything else is actually within our right-of-way. These are our floor plans. On the top, you can see the existing basement plan. On the bottom is the proposed basement plan. We're planning to install some fencing that aligns with the other neighbors on our street, and we also have a stoop that actually matches the former stoop that used to occupy the property. This was a basement. This is the first floor plan as well. It's the same situation, and you can see here that the first 5 feet is within our property, and just the red part is what's in the public right of way, right? Here we have an elevation drawing. This is the existing condition as it is today, and this is what we're proposing to do, including the renovation that we got approved by the Landmarks Commission, right? And again, only the portion that's in red is past the property line. Everything else is within our property. We have also here enlarged this the additions and the alterations we're planning to do, right? And finally, on the last sheet is the section and elevation drawing on the stoop itself, and what's within our property and what's not.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this at all? Okay, I don't see anyone. And Michelle, I know you would like to have a question or two, I'm sure. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. As we look at the original shot, does this building have 2 front doors at the moment?
Yes, it does. It's 2 different buildings at the moment.
Oh, they're 2 different buildings, but the stoop is going to go on the doorway on the right or the left as
The
we
one
look
on
at this?
the one on the left.
The stoop will go with the one on the left, and the one on the right will remain as is?
Yes, it will remain a basement door.
Oh, that's a basement door, but it's to a different building, you said?
Yes. Right now, it's 2 different buildings. We are combining the properties into one.
Oh, well, that's good information to have. So that in order to put a stoop on entrance on the left, you have to raise that entrance, correct?
The entrance to the left will be going into the first floor, not into the basement.
Correct. But at the moment, you say at the moment it's going into the basement?
Yes, at the moment, both of the entrances are at the basement. And on the one on the left, we're restoring the original entrance, which was at the parlor floor on the first floor.
So in order to get that door up to the first floor level, you're going to have to raise the door, correct?
Yes, I'm gonna raise the door. I'm gonna remove that door and place the door where it used to be, where is the window right now.
Okay, so that will replace the existing window.
Yes.
All right, now I know how many feet past your property line is the new staircase?
So, is this the best one? I think the second sheet is the best one. So the staircase is encroaching 6'2" into the sidewalk.
And then how many feet does it leave from that first step until the curb?
9'4".
9'4". All right, and the basement entrance door remains where it is?
Correct. It's this condition here. We have 2 existing steps going down. We're keeping those.
It has two steps going down now?
Yes, they're there right now, yes.
Okay. Is the width of that changed in any way? It looks very narrow, and the staircase looks very narrow.
It's a 3-foot staircase. It's what's there right now.
What do you mean? Oh, it's what's on the 2 steps now.
Yes.
Is a 3-foot staircase.
Correct.
And that's what's going to be on the new staircase that goes however many steps up.
No, the other step, the new step is 5 foot wide. It's almost 6 foot wide. The existing staircase that goes to the basement is 3 foot wide.
Oh, because it comes out past the existing. I see. So that's 6 foot wide. So if that's 6 foot wide and it's past the entrance to the existing basement door, I see you indicate a swing door as entrance to that downstairs.
We have 2 gates. We have 2 gates next to the stoop.
I see that.
So, is there somewhere that you would like me to take you so you can understand this?
Well, I'm trying to understand the drawing right in front of me. The red outline, you have 3 red outlines. The one at the extreme right, as we look at it, has a red outline with a swinging gate.
Yes.
But that doesn't seem to belong to your property. Then you have the middle with the new stair, the new stoop, the width of which is about 6 feet. And then you have the other red outline all the way to the left.
So
that seems to have a swinging door.
So we're of course it crashes. Let me try this again. All right. So we are proposing a new gate, a new fence and gate in the sidewalk, left and right. There's the gate. That's the other gate. And we're also proposing this new stoop here.
So what is the width of that entire building?
30 feet. 30 feet.
Okay, it didn't look that wide on the picture. That's why I'm questioning. But all of this is in front of your building.
Correct. So the things that I just marked up with blue is in the sidewalk.
Okay, and all of that extends 6'2" into the sidewalk.
Only the stoop encroaches 6'2" into the sidewalk. The fences encroach 4'10".
4 feet.
4'10".
4'10". Okay. And then is it the case that my last question, is it the case that if you don't get this approval, that you cannot return the stoop to, was that its original height in the original building?
Correct.
And second part of that is you referred to another building on the street that maintained the stoop. Do you have a picture of that in context of this building?
Yes, actually, I was doing a little bit of research before. So this is a building, I believe, from the 40s, a picture from the 40s, right? So let me screenshot this so we're on the same page.
And that shows
this is our property, right?
Yeah. Oh, the one next to you has.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
This one right next to me at 130 was severely changed, so there is nothing left. The only one that remains, and it's still the same, is at 128, which is what we based our drawing for our own stoop.
So it skips a building. You have a staircase and then one that was removed and then the one that you're proposing.
Correct.
And was that encroaching the original construction on the other buildings? Were they encroaching on public property?
Yes, they were.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your answers. Thank
No
you.
worries.
Okay, DJ Paulson, can we mute DJ? Yes,
Hi,
DJ.
thank you. And thank you for the presentation and all the information. Appreciate it. Can I ask about the occupancy of this now combined two townhouses into one building? I can't find it in the details anywhere.
It was two apartment buildings, and now it's going to become one house.
Going to be a single family home?
Correct.
Okay. I'll just comment. It is an immense privilege to own a single family home of this size in the densest neighborhood in the country. And I'm not inclined to give up sidewalk space to such projects. So that's the extent of my comments, but thank you for the presentation.
Okay, Sebastian, I think is like to be recognized.
Thank you, Chuck. I'd like to make a motion and speak to it if seconded. I
Sure.
move that we disapprove this proposal unless the applicant removes the metal fenced area. That is the motion.
Is there a second to that motion? Anyone second that? Is it Paul, are you seconding? Yes. Okay. Go ahead, Sebastian, you want to speak to that?
Thanks. Yeah, so I appreciate the plan to renovate this property and to restore the stoop, which clearly is a historic artifact and an element that appears in many properties in our neighborhood. I would say, though, that the fenced-in area is taking a bunch of the sidewalk space, which doesn't really need to be taken. If we see that the plan that was above, it doesn't look like there's much that's going to be used in that space, and that is a sidewalk space. It also creates a pinch point there on the right-hand side, where there'll now be only 5 foot 2 inches between that fence and the tree pit. As someone who's regularly taking a stroller around the neighborhood, I know these pinch points can be challenges for maneuvering, as well as I believe that may be tighter than our street design guidelines, which recommend in a neighborhood street like this, 8-foot clear path. That is the DOT's guidelines, and this is clearly less than that. So for these reasons, I propose that we disapprove this application unless the applicant removes that metal fence and makes this just a proposal to have the stoop, those steps there.
Mr. Tomaridi, do you want to comment on that?
Just one thing. The guidelines, actually, the requirement for the guidelines is 5 feet, not 8. That's why we present that. My only question towards the board, will you be more inclined to approve this if we actually aligned it with our neighbors' encroachment? The only reason I'm a little bit concerned is because we would like to have some sort of a blocking between this entrance and the sidewalk, right? And I want to also bring to your attention that this is our other neighbor's fence, so I'm not projecting more than what's there. Is that something that
So
the board can?
you're suggesting that the fence would go out just as far as your neighbors? How much further out is that?
So currently, our neighbor has, you can see the picture in front of me, has 3 steps going into their basement, right? So I'm suggesting to align it with that, right? So I'm not creating a pinching point that's not already there. That's on the one side. And on the other side, as you can see, the other neighbor's fence goes exactly where my fence is shown right now. So I'm trying to see if I can get a little bit of space in our front yard to have a little bit of extra privacy in this area here.
How far would it extend past the property line? The fence
It would
that you're
extend,
talking-
instead of the 4'10", it will extend the 3
3 feet?
3 feet.
Okay.
So aligning it with our neighbors here.
Okay, Sebastian, any comments on that?
I appreciate that suggestion there. I think that in this case, though, I'd like to keep that original motion on the basis that there's no need here to be enclosing the sidewalk, that this is a public space, and that whereas in the case there's clearly a step down on the right that is being protected from someone potentially accidentally falling in, it doesn't appear that there's anything happening in this case where the public needs to be protected, and nor should the residents necessarily be fencing themselves in from the public.
One thing that I do want to bring to your attention, there are 2 steps here, right, going down.
Yeah, there are those steps there right at the building line, right next to the stoop. So thank you. I'd like to keep the motion
Sure.
as originally presented.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? I see Michelle has her hand up. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, well, I appreciate Sebastian's resolution and actually could probably support it. I don't think that we usually do this. I think we have to vote on the application that's before us.
We are.
I
We
don't
are.
think we can do, and if he does that, and I just don't think that's our protocol.
Well, he's not doing it, so he's not. The motion is to disapprove, that's all.
No, the motion is to disapprove unless the fencing is removed. If he just left it as the motion to disapprove is presented, that would make sense for me, and even encourage the presenters to come back with the alternate plan. But I don't think our protocol usually permits us to add if they would do this. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I see. Okay. So do you object to that, Sebastian? It's the same thing.
Yeah, ultimately on that point, I would defer to you, Chuck, on the
Yeah,
exact
it's the
details
same.
of what
It's-
we are able to
sure.
send and ultimately I want to make sure the message is conveyed to the DOT when they are reviewing this, that I don't mind the stoop, the fence is, I'm not buying.
Okay. Well, we can say something in the whereas about it's the issue, the fence is the issue.
Very good.
So I think we'll just leave it as a motion to disapprove the application as presented. And any further discussion? Okay. So this is a motion to disapprove the application as presented. All in favor of this don't have to do anything. Is there anyone opposed or abstaining on this? And I think I'm opposed to this, so is there anyone else? And is everyone still here? We have me, Lori, DJ, Michelle, Paul, and Sebastian. I assume, everyone's still here? Okay, so that's a motion to disapprove. That's 6. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This will be taken up at our full board meeting in 2 weeks. All right. Item number 4 is a request to change the parking regulations in front of 205 East 85th Street between 3rd and 2nd Avenues to no parking or no standing zone. And okay, that's 205, right? So that's the request. And is there someone here who wants to present on that request? Is it, well, I don't know,
Yeah.
is anyone here that I'm not seeing here?
Yes, Michelle
Oh,
Goldstein.
Michelle Goldstein. Okay, I guess you were raising your hand, but not the right hand. That's okay. Go ahead, Michelle.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Good evening. On behalf of the Brompton, located at 205 East 85th Street between 2nd and 3rd, I'm requesting a change to the parking regulation to a no standing anytime designation. Typically, vehicles are parked bumper to bumper, making it impossible for the taxis or ride shares or handicap accessible vehicles to reach the curb without blocking the traffic. This results, unfortunately, in difficulty for residents and visitors who use wheelchairs or walkers to have other mobility challenges to safely access vehicles for drop off and pickup. It often forces them to navigate around parking cars or into the traffic lane. It also presents dangerous conditions for passengers existing and entering vehicles, noise pollution due to frequent and disruptive horn honking due to blocked traffic flow. And lastly, there's delays for engine 22, ladder 13 fire department trucks to freely move west on the block to head back to the station located at 159 East 85th Street. There are 7 key benefits to the proposal, not standing anytime designation, which will create 1, true accessibility for all, ensuring residents and visitors with wheelchairs or mobility challenges could safely and comfortably access vehicles, reflecting a genuine commitment to inclusivity. 2, provide safe off-road access, designating space for vehicles to pull in front of the street for quick drop-offs and pickups, eliminating the risk and frustrations of loading directly from traffic lanes. Keep traffic flowing in streets clear, preventing roadway blockage, and ensure emergency vehicles can move freely, making the streets safer for everyone. 4, this will help reduce stress and noise, eliminating the honking, shouting, and tension that comes from congestion and confusion, creating a calmer, more respectful environment for residents and drivers alike. 5th, I believe it will enhance everyday convenience, making arrivals and departures smoother for residents, guests, improving daily life and community satisfaction. 6, prevent bike accidents. Vehicles will no longer stop on the road and dangerously open doors into the bike lane, eliminating the risk of an accident while Citibank riders heading west to the dock on East 85th Street are coming up the block. Advance citywide priorities, supporting the city goals for safer, more accessibility and more efficiency in the streets while setting a positive example through urban development. On August 21st, the acting Manhattan Borough Commissioner Danielle Zuckerman responded to our letter requesting such consideration, made us aware the Manhattan Borough Engineering Office completed a preliminary field investigation and a search of their records at this location. Based on the current field conditions, they did not foresee any issues in filling our request. The commissioner further commented and asked us to be aware that this has implications for all residents and that we were to demonstrate support for this change by circulating a petition and collecting signatures from majority of residents. We have 165 apartments with a total of roughly 500 residents and received a majority with over 350 resident signatures in support of this petition. Lastly, which brings me here tonight, the acting commissioner asked that we present our proposal and sign petition to Manhattan Community Board for your review. Thank you for your time, and thank you, John, for guiding us through this process. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Before we have a discussion, Michelle, I should say that it's been the policy of this committee and this board not to approve these kinds of requests from residential buildings. And the main reason is we have, I don't know, I couldn't even hazard a guess as to how many residential buildings we have in our district from 59th to 96, but we would be inundated by these requests, and we very occasionally approve something in very special circumstances, but in general, it's been our position not to approve them, and because I assume right now that the parking situation is alternate side parking in front of the building. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And now comments from the public. I see Andrew Fine has a comment. Andrew?
Hi,
Go
Chuck.
ahead.
I'd just like to speak in support of the Bromptons' attempt to make a little bit of, loading and unloading space for themselves. If you look at this block and you look right on the Third Avenue end of it, you talk about um, reserving space for private owners. And if you look at the block, at the end of the block, you have City Bike taking up, I don't know, 60 feet. That's a private business that's taking up curb space. Across the street, you have Jacques, which had at one point, I think it was like 100 feet of curb space in traffic, for private business. And this is a request actually for people that live here. This is a very tight pinch point. It's not a wide street. When you factor in city bike on one side and outdoor dining on the other side, there's really no space. And to the point of the person that just presented, the fire station and returning trucks is just across the street. So in this case, and actually in many cases, I think it's acceptable to reserve just a little bit of space for a building where people live, because we're reserving space all over the city for city bikes, for restaurants, for bars. So I think this is worthy of consideration, and I would support this measure. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, I see, was, Michael, Salmasi?
Yes. I would just like to add, this spot is in a really awkward place in between a city bike and another no standing zone for Well Presbyterian Hospital. So it's really like an awkward spot to have a parking space that really causes a lot of congestion for the fire department. This is one block up. And on a continual basis, you have fire engines that are being blocked on this block just because there's one taxi cab or somebody that has nowhere else to stop on the street, because you have a length of city bikes, then you have one small parking space, then you have the hospital loading zone. And so there's really nowhere else to stop on that block until you get to the next other side of the street on 85th Street, past the fire department. So it really causes a lot of congestion in an awkward way, and it doesn't provide any value to the community because it's such a small spot that it doesn't really make sense to even have it there.
Okay, thank you. The Lulu B, if you can you give us your full name for the record?
Hi, I'm Marianne. That's my email name right there.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's
Marianne?
my fault. No, you're correct. I logged in as Marianne. My apologies. I just wanted to make a point of just for the record that city bike usage is not just a private company. It's for the use of all New Yorkers. Okay, as is hospitals and fire departments. So I think you're making an inaccurate comparison. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle had her hand up. If there's no other members of the public that I see,
No,
Michelle.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. Well, I would like to use those arguments, but come to a different conclusion. Number one, the restaurant is supposed to be taking down that enormous shed according to new rules. So hopefully that will not be an issue. Unfortunately, those that have placed the Citibank stanchions have done that without regard to anything that's happening on any block in the city. And for that, I would take issue with them. And the fact that the block has all kinds of other facilities and minimal alternate side parking, I think that that's a reason to keep these two. I don't think that eliminating them will do anything to ease up the traffic, because no parking, no standing, people pull in all the time, commercial trucks will pull in. There'll just be another kind of vehicle that will take that space. So even motorcycles or whatever, I don't think it's going to yield any particular benefit. And I think in light of all of the parking that has been taken away in that street and the fact that the restaurant should be in compliant in the future, I would vote to deny this request. Thanks.
May I speak? No.
Yes, no, you can, no, go ahead.
Okay.
Michelle, yeah.
I do believe that the space would allow a vehicle to move over slightly and allow another vehicle to pass by when people and residents in the building are trying to get in and out of their cars. So and there's also 24-hour doorman in front of the building. And if there is a no standing anytime designation sign, it would be enforced. And just to give a little wiggle room, we do have several residents in the building that are wheelchair and handicap, and just to have them have access closer to the curb so they're not in the middle of the street. Besides the fact that it's backing up the traffic, it is quite unsafe when you have the city bikes going past that area of the building and docking. There's just so many times a resident is or a visitor is opening the door and there isn't a designated bike lane where there's near accidents happening. So it's a very small space. You could just move the vehicle slightly into it or allow a resident to have clear passage. Because there's so little parking on the street, the cars are parked bumper to bumper. You can't even go in between cars to access the street. And with the city bikes, there sometimes you're walking to the corner 85th Street and going down the street to access your car. So I'd like to just bring that to the attention of the community board. Thank you.
DJ, can we unmute DJ next?
Thank you. And thanks for the presentation, Michelle. I take the view of how are we using this kind of precious, scarce public street space most effectively and efficiently? You know, restaurants mentioned doing outdoor dining. They're using the space to serve hundreds of customers a night, potentially in an enjoyable setting. City bike racks, as mentioned, may move hundreds of riders a day. So I think that's a good use of that space. And a loading zone for this building will serve many taxi riders, and it could maybe be used for food delivery drop off and some other things. So those bikes wouldn't have to be on the sidewalk. Chuck, I'd even question the committee's longstanding custom you mentioned, which I didn't know about, of not approving these. I think single street parking spaces that one resident can use for long-term storage of one personal vehicle is not a great use of space in front of buildings, and it's much better use for these types of loading zones and uses. Thank you.
DJ, I think the reason is that the precedent that you set, if we had all of these, you wouldn't have any alternate side of the street parking left if you went far enough. And maybe that's something that people might think we ought to go to, but I think we've had a lot of, and I don't own a car, so I don't really, it's not an issue for me, but I think that I've always believed that we do take a lot of parking spaces away for a lot of things which benefit institutions and other things. And so to the extent we can keep some alternate side of the street parking, it seems to make some sense. That's why we did that. That just fill you in on the history of it a little bit. Sebastian.
Thank you, Chuck. I move that we approve the proposal as presented and would like to speak to it if seconded.
Is there a second to that? Somebody, okay, Paul Crickler, I see thumbs up, second. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Thank you. Simply, I look at this in terms of, as DJ was saying, a loading zone can serve dozens of people in a day, whereas a space for a single parked car some days might only be serving one or maybe two people. When that space is blocked, it means that people who are arriving and getting out of the vehicle inevitably have to block the street. I was looking on the street view imagery. There just isn't room for loading and unloading when the side of the street is full with parked cars, and a blocked street does no good for anyone. For that reason, I would love if our neighborhoods could have more of these loading zones throughout the neighborhood, bearing in mind that this doesn't just serve this one building, but potentially many buildings and residents and businesses on this block. So I'd love to have this around our district, and in particular, I'd love if we could approve this proposal now.
Paul Crickler. Hi, Paul.
I'd like to propose to move vote on this motion, if that's the right thing to say.
Sure. Yeah, you mean call a question.
Call the question, thank you.
That's okay.
I see a second from DJ.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't see any further discussion. So if those who are in favor of approving this should raise their hand. I mean, should not raise their hand. You don't have to do anything, sorry. And those who are against it should raise their hand. And I'm against it. And I don't know if anyone else is against it. Michelle? Okay, anyone else? So that's there are 6 of us, so that's 4 in favor and 2 against to approve. Okay, and this will come up at our full board meeting, Michelle, in 2 weeks. I think it's the 19th.
November 19th.
Right, John? Okay.
That's correct.
Yeah. All right.
Excuse me, may I just ask, so this approval is now giving us the right to have it to go to full
One
committee on the 19th?
one space, yes. We recommend, this is a committee recommendation to the full board, and when the full board approves it, then it'll go to the Department of Transportation that we've approved it, and they'll change the sign.
Okay, and do we present at the full board, or we?
Well,
that's
the full
internal
board,
meeting?
the way it operates at the full board is there's a public session where you can sign up and speak for a couple of minutes on it. But once we get into the agenda, then you can't speak, can't present in that sense. So if you'd like to come to the full board and make a comment and say this has been approved by the committee and you'd like the board to support it, that's, you could say something in the public session.
Thank you very much.
You just have to sign up for that. And I don't know if you've been on the board, maybe you have because you've been on the board website, but you'll see, you'll get all the details of where it is, and you can do it, and you can also do it remotely.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, next item, number 5. We have a lot of parking changes here. This is a request to change the parking regulations between 320 East 65th Street to 360 East 65th Street from alternate side parking to a truck loading zone or no standing. There's someone here to present on this. Is this Max here?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So go ahead, Max.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna share my screen and hopefully you're able to see this. Is everyone able to see that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, great. Okay. Yes, so I wanted to address the board today to ask about changing the parking requirement on 65th Street from alternate side parking to a truck loading and commercial vehicle only. There's a lot of double parking on this street, and that's the main issue I'm hoping to address with this. On our street, there's over 10 small businesses, which I think is a little bit of an anomaly for this part of the neighborhood. You can see here, I took a bunch of street view pictures just to create some visuals. There's some dry cleaners, a spa, tailor, printing, barber. A lot of these businesses are coming with deliveries and loading and unloading throughout the day. And when they do so, it causes a big traffic jam on the street. And there's currently only one loading zone on this part of the block. And this is what it currently looks like. If you've ever walked on First Avenue past 65th Street, you've seen this dilapidated mobile heater that is parked firmly in between the 2 spots of the loading zone. You can see I've circled the sign on the left, and due to the location of the smokestack and the heater, that spot behind the heater is not really accessible for any sort of commercial vehicle to pull over or make any sort of delivery, and then the spot in front is too close to the intersection of the street for anything that's not maybe a small van to be able to make a delivery here. Yes, so you can see here is an example of double parking that occurs on our street on a daily basis. This is an example of a mover just parking in the middle of the street, and then there's a street sweeper that gets stuck behind it. This often results in 10 to 15 minutes of honking nonstop, with the movers having to come down, move the truck, try to pull it over, not actually do it. It's a whole song and dance that I'm hoping to somehow resolve. And it also impedes emergency vehicles. We get a lot of fire trucks and ambulances on our street due to our proximity to the hospitals. And you can see here, there was a truck that was blocked by the car, and then there was a fire truck that was stuck behind it for, and it's not captured in this video, but for a significant amount of time. And yes, here's another picture I took of just demonstrating that the street is not wide enough for when trucks double park. You can see there's a van double parked here on the left, and this truck is just stuck. And I had enough time to come out of my apartment, go down onto the street, walk into the middle of the street, and capture this photo just to demonstrate that it's not just like a 10-second cab dropping someone off issue, but it's really a chronic issue that builds up all the way back to 2nd Avenue and often blocks the intersection with 2nd Avenue, which then causes traffic throughout the entire community. Yeah, so hopefully I'm looking to serve this statement, and businesses and residents deserve a reliable way to unload and load without having to pray for a spot as they round the corner or double parking on our street that's too narrow to support this. And another thing that I thought was interesting to bring up is that there have been studies that the honking and the noise do have a significant negative impact on our health. So according to this New York Times article, which I can share if anyone's interested in reading it, there is a risk of developing cardiovascular disease if you live in an area that has increased noise levels, and also with just developing a heart attack or cardiovascular disease. And then here, I don't know if you're able to hear my audio, but this is just a video capturing some of the honking. This was taken like 2 weeks ago at 8 a.m. It's just nonstop, like absolutely unacceptable that anyone should have to live with this coming from their bedroom window.
We can't hear your honking, but we get the picture.
All right, sorry.
That's okay.
And then the last thing I want to talk about is some similar streets in our area, just to say that this is not a novel concept. So on one block to our west, between 3rd and 2nd Avenue, there's metered commercial parking on the street. On 66th Street, there's no standing on one side of the street. On 64th Street, near the intersection with 1st Avenue, there's metered commercial vehicle parking. And then in Midtown East, a lot of the residential streets there are commercial vehicle only throughout many parts of the day. And I think our area also has commuters looking for parking spots on the street, which makes it so there's almost never available spots. And when you've had a truck blow its horn outside of your window, you really don't forget it. They're not designed for that happening on the street. They're designed for that to happen on the highway. And then lastly, yeah, a quieter 65th Street will make our neighborhood safer with the reduced health risks I earlier mentioned. It'll make it more pleasant. And then it'll also encourage investment in property values, which I found interesting in this study done by the National Bureau of Economic Research. They talked about the association of like very loud streets and honking and vehicle noise to property values. Anyways, thank you very much for your time.
I ask you, Max, have you talked to the Department of Transportation about, this kind of a change?
So I really am not super familiar with how this whole process works, and I've been corresponding with John, who encouraged me to put this proposal together and present it to you guys. So I'm happy for any feedback or potential next steps.
Yeah. Raphael, do you know whether, how the department might look at a truck loading zone, let's say here in this area?
Good evening, Rafael Escano. borough planner. I mean, this is the right protocol to follow. So you will have the ultimate decision as to go ahead and bring it up to our attention. But the protocol that is being followed now, that is the right one.
Okay, because sometimes the department would say, well, we can't do a truck loading zone, or we don't, first of all, we're not sure what the hours would be in the truck loading zone. It doesn't really specify anything.
Is this an individual or a business?
I'm an individual, but the loading zone would be for the purpose of serving businesses on the block.
No, it's not for it's an individual.
Right. So the businesses are not the one coming to the community board.
Correct.
Requesting this. It's an individual, a neighbor, very good neighbors.
Correct.
I must admit.
Correct.
No, it's this is the right protocol to go ahead and bring it up to your attention, and then it's up to you to either go and follow up with the DOT.
Okay. All right. I see we have some people who'd like to comment on this. Let me get to Brett Lemberger. Can we unmute Brett here?
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate that presentation. I am a resident of the area. I live at the corner of 65th and 2nd Avenue. I've lived here for 5 years now, and I've had a dog for that long as well. And I mentioned the dog because I walk the dog on that block almost every single day, and I don't understand this presentation. It is a really pleasant street, which I don't hear the honking on. I don't see the double parking. I don't think that these businesses have truck loading zone issues. Like if you go back to the slide of what the businesses are, it's a dry cleaner, it's a stretch facility, it's a barber shop. Like these are not grocery stores that have major deliveries. These are pretty small businesses that don't need a truck loading zone. I also joined this call because I'm a resident who keeps a car in the city, and I do alternate side parking. There is a limit on spots right now as is. I think taking away this number of spots would be really detrimental to those of us who park. And when I walked by today, there are 18 spots in question. 320 to 360 is 18 cars. That's 18 cars that now need to go park elsewhere in the neighborhood. That's 18 people who need to go find somewhere to park. That's a lot of parking to take away from people who don't want to pay $800, $1,000 for a garage. So as we were talking about 85th Street, I appreciate the committee saying that we don't usually approve these requests because this could apply anywhere. I think this presentation is simply a presentation against alternate side parking. I don't know how this wouldn't apply on 67th or 68th or 69th and so on. So I am strongly opposed to this measure. I know that there are other parkers who have joined this call who probably share similar sentiments. So I appreciate the time today, but just consider me one who's very opposed to this measure.
Thank you. Next, Ross Ginsburg. Unmute, go ahead. Okay, yeah, you're unmuted.
Thank you. I also appreciate the presentation, the opportunity to speak upon this. Much like Brett, I live in the area on 63rd and 3rd, very often use 65th Street as one of the blocks that I park on because I too feel that street parking is the only resolution to not wanting to pay or $800 to $1,000 a month for a garage. I understand why the garage prices are the way they are, but they have priced a significant number of people out of being able to do so. Spots are kind of scarce to begin with. There are several loading zones along the way, and in many of the blocks, there are designated parking spots for us, designated loading zones for trucks, and there is one at the top of the block at 65th Street. And parking is difficult enough to begin with, so much so that we have a private WhatsApp chat with about 50 people who park in this immediate, call it 59th to 72nd area with cars, and we share spots. We try to share spots back and forth as much as we can because it's very hard to find spots on your own. So it's kind of like a help thy fellow neighbor type of event. And several of those people are on the call today as well. But one of the other issues to consider is that with the introduction of congestion pricing south of 61st Street, it has pushed a lot of the parking for people who don't want to enter the congestion zone into our area to take up some of the spots from the private residents who live in the area and would benefit most from those spots. And that just furthers the difficulty of finding a spot to begin with. And so, you consider me also very strongly opposed to this motion. I have a couple ideas that may be solutions for this, but I don't think that it would be quite fair to take away 18 spots, an entire block, for 12 hours a day for the minimal honking that may or may not occur at various points throughout the day. Thank you for your time, and I yield.
Could I have a chance to maybe just respond, and that might alleviate some of the other people's questions?
Sure.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate both of your opinions. I definitely agree that first with the congestion pricing.
Max, no, you'll get a chance to respond, but we want to get comments first.
Oh, I thought you said sure. I'm sorry.
No, sorry.
No, I did. I'm sorry. I just
You're good.
It's okay. All right. Let's go to Juan Soto next. I assume he's not from the Mets, but that's okay.
Bane of my existence. No, I am not. But thank you very much, and I appreciate the community boards and the committees' attention to all these matters. Actually, I'm quite impressed. I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I've been living in this area for about 20 years. I was living on 63rd Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, between 1st and 2nd Avenue. And so the evolution of the changing of the traffic laws as far as parking is concerned on that block, and quite understand where Max and I believe DJ were coming from as far as noise pollution and the constant honking. I prefaced all of that because I do not believe we have that situation here on 65th. My wife and I finally became homeowners in this area, and a big reason was parking. I think there's a perception versus reality that the people who own vehicles in the area are all deep-pocketed. I am not such, and I need that vehicle to go see my mother who does not live in Manhattan. It would be a burden to me to have to pay $800 to $1,000 for a parking spot. I too walk my dogs down this block. I've been in this block for quite some time. I do not believe that the businesses located in this area have high deliveries. As a matter of fact, if you look to the west of us, between 2nd Avenue and 3rd Avenue, quite often that's where the trucks park for moving and deliveries. In addition, right in front of our building is a no standing zone where people offload passengers and trucks. I do not think that taking all of the parking spots in the entire block is productive, is fair. And in addition, you will more than likely have people parking there who are waiting for patients of the hospitals instead of parking in metered spots. They will be there for Memorial Sloan Kettering. They will be there for the other hospitals, and they will also just take up the spots as if it was not no standing for loading and unloading. In addition, I am on a low floor facing that street. I can hear when there's honking or when there's just loud, rowdy people. I do not feel the noise pollution, and I am of the age where I'm getting sensitive to it. So I do not think that that is necessarily a problem. Max, I very much appreciate your presentation, but I think the energy would be better focused on the boiler, the temporary boiler that in your suggestion that you said was abandoned. I do not believe it's abandoned. I saw it being serviced recently. Yes, I think the focus would be on trying to figure out a resolution to this that has been there for as long as I can remember. And dare I say at least a decade, but I'm sure the board members would probably know better than I. As in reference to the property values, I found it enticing to purchase a property in which I could park nearby. 63rd Street, there's no parking. 65th Street, there's no parking on the north side because of the school and the park. If you go over to between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, there is no parking. Between that and congestion pricing, we're being pushed out, and it's a little bit unfair. Am I sensitive to making more zones in areas where the public can access? Yes, but I don't think eliminating all alternate side of parking is the key to this. And finally, I just want to add that I think, Max, I don't want it to seem like your concerns are unfounded. I just think that the remedy you're seeking is a little heavy-handed to those of us who are very vested in this neighborhood. My first community board meeting, because it really meant something to me as far as this issue is concerned. And I just, first of all, just want to say thank you to the committee board members for volunteering and doing all this hard work. And I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, well, we get paid the big bucks for these meetings. Zero. Rachel Gupta is next. Great. Can we unmute Rachel? Thank you, man.
Hi, thank you for your time. My name is Rachel Gupta. I also live on this block. I've been here for 10 years. Like some of the other neighbors, I also have a dog and I walk this block multiple times a day. I'm not going to repeat the comments because some of my remarks have already been mentioned by other folks, but I do think it's important to focus on what the specific businesses are that Mr. McLaughlin referenced, because when we're talking about the need for unloading for these businesses, I just want the board to understand what these businesses are. And I think Brett mentioned a couple of them, but you have a shoe repair, you have a stretch lab, you have a tanning salon, you have a solo makeup artist, you have a tiny hardware store that isn't even always open, you have a spa that provides facials and massages, and then you have a dry cleaner. And so the dry cleaner at most, I think, does unloading and loading of one van maybe once or twice a day. But these other businesses do not have stock like a grocery store or a pharmacy that would require loading and unloading. So all the unloading and unloading spots would do is just remove the 18 or 19 parking spots that go to residents and to hospital workers, visitors of hospital patients, and it's going to create a major backlog because there are very few parking garages in the neighborhood. Some have closed. Those that are still open are hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I mean, we're talking 700, 800, 900, 1100. They are just unaffordable. And so you're taking those spots away. Now, Mr. McLaughlin made a point that he tried to use the comparison that there's other blocks in the neighborhood that have loading or unloading, but that is actually in support for why this block should not be changed. There are areas locally nearby for unloading and loading where there are actually businesses and where that is needed. And to the extent our block needs it for like movers, right? Every residential block in New York has this issue when there are moving trucks that need to move. There is always this issue where moving trucks end up double parking. Double parking, unfortunately, while I don't think it's an unusual or kind of extensive issue on this block in particular, I would say that it to the extent it does happen, that is what New York is. It happens on every single residential block. We're not going to eliminate alternate side of the street parking across the board because there's a reason it's in place to begin with. And so, honking also, I would say, I live in this neighborhood for 10 years. I don't find that the honking is excessive. I actually think that 65th is generally a kind of a quiet neighborhood with trees, and it's a little bit more residential. It is a cross street, right? It is a through street to some extent. And so you will have more traffic, but I don't think unloading or unloading is going to change that or resolve any kind of issues. The last thing I would say is I don't see, and I have not heard from any of the local businesses. And so to the extent unloading and unloading is for the purpose of the businesses, I would have thought that we would be hearing from them and they'd be making this motion in this application, but that's not who's bringing it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Alex Yu, if you could give us your full name for the record, and unmute Alex.
Hey everyone, my full name is Alex Izumku. I also live on the block on 65th. Have lived here for nearly 5 years, and I won't take up too much time because it would just be an echo of everyone else's comments. I mean, my one point would be that I have 2 points actually, that I have polled a couple of the actual business owners themselves of the businesses that I do frequent on the street, who have mentioned that they don't have deliveries that come via a truck. These deliveries come by hand predominantly, and therefore they aren't the ones causing any double parking. As the previous speaker mentioned, it's typically because of moving trucks or other vehicles that are accessing any of the other number of private residences and buildings on the block. And the key to the solution here is enforcement, right? Like that's what we are lacking, unfortunately, across the board on the avenues or the side streets of double parking. It's not an issue that any sort of unloading, loading zone, or alternate side removal or approval is going to fix in the grand scheme of things. Second point is it's kind of classist to take away some of this parking that is free in a world that is getting a little bit more expensive. A lot of the businesses and hospitals depend on people who cannot afford to pay the prices that everyone before me has mentioned in these parking garages, that rely on cars to get them back and forth to shifts that don't allow them to necessarily utilize public transportation in a way that gets them home in a safe and quick manner. So that would be my 2 points. I mean, if I had a third, it brings a whole new set of challenges in terms of noise. Max, like in front of your building specifically, as you were showing us, if it turns into a commercial truck loading zone, all you're going to hear is a loading and unloading of trucks all day long. The honking isn't going to stop. People will still double park on the side of truck. You'll get the loading and unloading noise on top of that. And it really just probably won't get any better. But that's the comments that I have to make today, and I appreciate everyone's time.
Sure, thank you. Next is Zarko Valcik. There you go, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lily Valsic. My husband is Zarko Valsic.
Hi, everybody.
So I just wanted to, I agree with pretty much everything that the previous speakers have said. We've been living in this neighborhood for over 15 years. On this block, we've been 6 years. And one of the reasons we chose this block is because compared to many other blocks here in the area, it's actually quite a quiet block when you visit other blocks and how busy they can get. Something I wanted to add about the morning honking, usually that's tied, what I've noticed is usually that's related to when the garbage truck is in our street, but this is something that happens in every street in the city. When the garbage truck is blocking, the cars just keep honking incessantly. And this is not something that has to do with, having a loading, unloading zone or not. It's not going to help that if there's other cars parked there anyway and they can't get around the garbage truck. It's an issue that pretty much all streets in the city face. So I don't think that this would resolve anything. We also, we rely on alternate side parking. We cannot afford to pay the high fees for the garages in this area. And for us, that was a big draw to choosing this building and choosing to live in the street, is that we have the option to have alternate parking. So I think for residents who purposely, came to live here and wanted to live here for that reason, it's that can be a high stress if all of a sudden now all those spots are lost. So
thank you.
We're also oppose this motion, but thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have Andrew Fine next. Can we mute Andrew?
Hey, Chuck, thank you. I'd just like to say that 18 spots seems like completely excessive. I'm not even sure that this location is worthy of a loading zone at all, given the composure of these businesses. So I would just say that I agree with the majority of people that have spoken to this. And I have to say, this is not my neighborhood. It's 20 blocks away, but as somebody else that rides the streets and fights for alternate side of the street parking, it's a science. the cost of owning a car in New York City is so expensive. The insurance is insane. The insurance costs are probably more than most people pay to lease a car outside of New York City, thanks to, the safety of our streets. But I just say that, it's a dog's life. So we talk about affordability. It's been drummed into our heads. And somewhere between 45 and 53% of all New Yorkers, New York families have a car. So I think it's time to look after everybody. And the struggle is real out there. So I support the people that are saying, give me a break. This is not a worthy use of 18 spots. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Al, if you can give us your full name for the record. Unmute Al, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Al Scope. I also reside on this block. I've lived in this building for over 30 years. I just want to go back to the question of there is a designated loading, unloading, and it has been taken up by a portable heater for a building that has two or three, maybe two tenants left in it. So I'm curious about the status of that and why it's still there. I mean, if their tenants aren't leaving, then why do they need a portable heater if they're permanent tenants? So maybe if that could be addressed, figuring out, okay, that heater could leave, there you have a no standing zone already there. I do agree with the noise. I've been here over 30 years. I've had dogs. I have a dog. The honking has increased tremendously. And if one works from home, it's really disruptive. And I used to park a car here, and that's the cost of living in New York. And if either you're going to do alternate side parking, you're going to pay for a garage, and that going into living in New York, and that's it. But I just would like to revert back to this temporary, permanent heating, oiled heating structure that's supposed to be temporary, used in a designated standing. If that can be removed or addressed, then maybe this discussion could go to an end. Thank you.
Al, can you give me, what's the address of that heater, mobile heater?
It's across from 360 East 65th Street. I don't know. So it's on the corner of First Avenue and 65th on the north side of the street.
Okay, well, because I'd like to have the board office will check into that and see why that's there, frankly. Something been there for that long.
It's been there for years. Yeah, it's been there for quite a long time.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
And that's my only comment. I mean, to revert back to that, that's a designated standing, no standing.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Hal Brill is, I think, our next speaker. Hal? Unmute Hal. Go ahead.
Hi.
There you go.
I would also want to say I'm opposed to this motion. I live around the corner for over 30 years, and I also am a car owner, and I feel that we need to preserve the alternate side of the street parking. And I think they're going to probably tear down that building that's in the photo, and that heater probably provides heat for the one or two tenants that are still there. So that's why the heater's there. That's going to be a future development in our neighborhood that I'm sure will come to the community board when they finally can knock down that building. So that's, I think, what's all that about. But I'm on live around the corner, and I'm sure that we need to keep the alternate side of the street parking and the character of the neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do you want to say anything before we get to the board? Go ahead, unmute.
Yeah.
Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, I got muted by accident.
That's okay.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I think it's kind of ironic for me to say, but I kind of agree with all of you about the heavy-handed approach. Truthfully, I was just at a loss for how to deal with this. Someone mentioned the enforcement route. I've submitted dozens of 311 complaints about the honking, about the double parking. Nothing happens. I was talking with John about that, and he recommended that I reach out to some community police liaison. They really just didn't do anything. So it kind of made me give up on thinking that enforcement was a solution to this. Maybe that's not fair for me to say. And then secondly, about the 18 spots, it's pretty arbitrary. The reason that I came up with that was just because the previous neighborhood that I lived in Midtown East, which I feel is of a pretty similar character between Second Avenue and the river. Almost all those streets are commercial vehicle only on both sides of the street for the entirety of the block. So I understand that it seems like, or I understand that 18 spots is a lot, but I was just comparing it to solution that had been applied on some other blocks that actually had been effective at removing some of the issues of double parking. And I think you could make the argument that it is excessive there as well, but if the goal is to reduce double parking and to reduce honking, I would say it was effective there. And yeah, I think the closing statement I'd like to make would be just to ask the board if there is something we can do about the mobile heater, because I do agree if that situation was resolved, it would likely provide some alleviation to this. And also for those who are saying that the noise isn't an issue on this street, I have like 50 videos of honking for more than 20 seconds continuous if you'd like me to share them with you. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to like come in here guns blazing like I'm going to take all your parking. I'm really just trying to like get some of the noise and the double parking resolved. And I also appreciate that you've reached out to the business owners. But even like there are 3 laundromats on the street, and even if they all get a delivery once a day, that is still like 30 minutes of double parking. And if one truck comes down 65th Street, it's stuck, and our road is connected to the transverse. So there is like a constant flow of traffic coming down our street across town from from Upper West Side. That is not really the case on any of their local streets. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Max. We will look into that heating truck. That seems very strange to me because I don't think I've seen a situation where a truck is giving heat to apartments in a building, and why they can get away with having a portable truck like that, frankly. But that's something we'll look into.
Thank you.
And I just want to comment that it seems like a nice block because everyone in this block was very nice in all of their arguments, and it's a good example for a lot of what goes on today, that neighbors can have disagreements but be civil and respectful to each other. So we appreciate it. Okay, Michelle, we'll go to the board. Michelle Birnbaum.
Thank you, Chuck. I'd like to make a resolution to disapprove and speak to it if seconded.
Is there a second here? Yeah, well, then we need
Okay. First of all of the statements that all of the residents made were very valid. I won't go over them. 18 spots is excessive, doesn't seem to really be a need, seems to be an inappropriate heating truck parked there. That issue should be addressed, in addition to another little thing there, which I'm not sure what it is, should certainly be addressed. Also, in your application, you say you want to change alternate sides to a truck loading zone or no standings. Those two things are completely contradictory. A truck loading zone will not relieve you of anything you are requesting, because if trucks are loading and unloading, anybody passing by who has to stop will be double parking. No standing will make the area useless for everybody, which seems to be a need that nobody thinks is there. So while I appreciate your concern and your interest, I think some of the things about noise and about heart disease in New York City, that's a long road to go. It's true, you got to be tough to live here. We're all tough. So for all those reasons, excuse me, and everything that everybody has stated, I think a disapproval is appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Crickler? Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Chuck. I just want to say very quickly that Max, I thought your presentation was really very good. I thought it was so helpful the way you showed us stuff and made everything your point so clearly. And also, you made your points with great conviction, and you came across as being, very thoughtful about it. I have to say also, I really want to second what Chuck was saying about all your neighbors who came and spoke, the people who didn't agree with you. I've never yet seen something like this tonight where people have been so civil to each other. So I just want to take a moment out to say thank you all so much, restoring my faith in coming this process. It was really nice. So thank you all very much. And I'll leave that one there. Thank you, Chuck.
Okay, any further discussion, or are we ready to vote on this? This is a disapproval motion. If people are in favor, they don't have to do anything. If people want to vote no or abstain, they should raise their hands. Okay.
Okay, I just want to give note that Todd has joined the meeting when our discussion began, so I just want to let you know that.
Oh, Todd is back. Todd is in the meeting. He joined on this vote.
On this vote, yes.
Okay, so it seems now we have 7, so I think we're unanimous disapproval. Max, we'll be looking at this. We'll be looking at this and hopefully we can get some resolution to that in that May. And we appreciate everyone coming and discussing it. Item number 6 is to change the parking regulations at 505 East 75th Street to extend the no standing during school days. Currently is now 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. to 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Is there someone here who would like to present on that? Is anyone, do we see anyone here? Terrence Kennedy. Okay. Go ahead, Terrence. Well, unmute Terrence.
Good evening, Chuck. Thanks for taking time tonight, and thank you all board members. I know everyone must be getting hungry and tired at this point.
We're just usually getting started at this committee, so this is a short meeting.
So my name is Terrence Kennedy. I'm Director of Facilities at Lycée Francais. We're a K-12 school located at 505 East 75th Street. He had to petition a community board to extend the no parking hours in front of the school from 7 to 4 to extend it to 7 to 5. Over the years, we've kind of extended our school hours a bit. Majority of our secondary students come out of the entrance on 505 East 75th Street between 3:30 and 4. Either parents are picking up, or they're jumping on their bikes or scooters that are parked in front of the school. They need a little bit more room. Con Ed is on the block. They're doing a major construction on their roof across the street. There's a lot of construction trucks and activity across the street this year. I have no idea how long that's going to take. I think it's probably going to be through the end of the year. We are on a block that is majority owned by Con Ed from York all the way down to East End. The other end of the East End street is Town School. So there's no residential. There's only 4 residential buildings on the block between York and the East End. So, we really need this as a safety issue for our kids. Our head of school is, really pushed me to try to get this updated and changed for the safety of our community. So really, that's it. If anyone has any questions, I'd be, more than willing to, answer them at this point.
Sure. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this application? I don't see anyone's hand up here. So let me go to Paul Quickler. Paul.
Thank you, Chuck. I'm not sure how to say it properly. I propose that we approve this application or this request.
Sure.
If anyone seconds this, I can say why.
Is there a second to this motion? Yes, Laurie, seconds. Okay. Do you want to
Because
say?
I think it's a no-brainer. It's kids coming out of school. It's 1 extra hour. I can't understand why anybody would object to that. I'll leave it there.
Michelle. I see Michelle wants to make a comment here. Go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chuck. I'm not sure as to the benefit, Mr. Kennedy. What are you protecting? You say the children are out of there by 3 to 4.
No, I said the majority leave between 3:30 and 4, but we also have extras after school activities that go to actually past 5:30. We have sports in the school. Definitely until 5:30. So that it's very busy coming out of this school between uh for me, I would love to extend it till 6, but we really didn't want to push too hard on this. But 5 would really help us out to clear that front of the school so parents could come pick their kids up safely in front of the school
Are
up
these
until
teams?
4 o'clock.
I'm sorry, just a question. Are these teams outside teams that come to do sports at your school?
Some are coming from outside schools, but some are the kids are just practicing inside the school. We have 2 gymnasiums, so
But
there's
your
either.
staff who parks there traditionally, they are not necessarily your teachers and coaches that stay after school. That whole group leaves, and then and very often they're outside coaches. I mean, I'm not being contrary. I'm just trying to understand. It's easy to ask for it, but it does affect the rest of the neighborhood. People who come home and where there's legal parking there from from 4 p.m. until 7 the next morning for the neighborhood. You're taking that away from the neighborhood. And I don't think you have a full complement of faculty or students that are in that building. I'm very familiar with after school sports and the coaches that often are not even from that school and do not necessarily drive. And the teams certainly don't drive. They come by public transportation. So I just really question the need here. And I think it does impact the neighborhood somewhat. I'm trying to better understand that.
Yeah, we do have not just secondary students leaving through that exit, but also primary students, very young ones who stay for aftercare. Their parents actually pick them up on that side of the building because we do have 2 entrances, one on 75th Street, one on 76th Street, and we try to limit any activity, which is a more residential street on 76th Street. So we ask all the students from the aftercare, the younger ones, to lead through 75th Street. So they're very young students, down to 4 years old, being picked up by their parents sometimes, being walked out, by staff members from the after school program on that side. So it's very young children, but it's also after school for the secondary. And like I said, our regular programs are ending at like 4 o'clock. So the kids have to go to their lockers, get their books. They like to chat, with each other in the hallways, and they're not leaving till be like 4 to 4:30. So it's still a very busy time, even up to till 5 o'clock for us.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. I appreciate it.
Hey, Lori Boris.
I'd like to call the question.
Okay, and DJ seconds. Question's been called. So all in favor, don't have to say anything. Is there anyone who wants to vote no or abstain? They should raise their hand. We have seven of us here, I assume. Okay. All right. That passes unanimously. Okay. Good.
Thank you very much, everyone. I
Sure.
appreciate your time.
It'll be at the full board, Mr. Kennedy.
Okay.
Okay. Any updates from the Department of Transportation? Do we have anything?
Yes. Let me just turn this
Go
off.
ahead.
Hello, Chuck, again. I have a couple of updates very quickly. That would be regarding the FDR Drive 96 exit. That has been pushed out to 2026. So nothing will be happening there soon. Okay. Also, the 63rd Street and 2nd Avenue is been going on as planned. So hopefully that will be done when it's supposed to be ending very soon as well. And that's it. That's the update I have. if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
Okay, Michelle, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Raphael.
Hi,
What is
Michelle.
happening to the enforcement of the new cafe rules? There are not supposed to be structures with ceilings or floors. They're supposed to be three-sided in the roadbed, and on the sidewalk, there should just be the street furniture without any, surrounding building like sides and floors and ceilings. But this is all based on enforcement. The rules are out there. Has the Department of Transportation, to your knowledge, increased their workforce in order to deal with this? Everything seems to be handled by the DOT, but I don't know that you're expanding your paid workforce in order to even be able to do all of this.
Unfortunately, that is the truth, Michelle. We do need more inspectors. And those that you see already removed, they have comply. Those that you see there still, they have not comply.
So what's the repercussion?
They will be fine because the protocol is to file an application and comply with the regulation that we have set forward. So if you do have any locations, I would be very happy to follow up and send it to the relevant units to inspect.
Well, I have 89th Street on the northwest corner, 2nd Avenue on the northwest corner of 89th Street. They took down their enclosure screens. However, they created an attachment to their building that still extends to the street.
I would
So
probably
that's,
say that they're not compliant.
I know. So that's one.
Is it possible that you could provide me with the exact location so I can
Yes,
send it
it's
to the
right on the
relevant
corner.
unit?
I don't have the address, but
That
it's a
would-
corner facility. So it's on 2nd on the northwest corner of 89th Street. It is a restaurant. It takes up that whole corner going west on 89th and going north on 2nd Avenue. You
Okay.
cannot mistake it for any other facility.
Okay, I'm making note of it and I will bring it up to the unit's attention.
Thank you. And I have others in mind, but I can't be precise to you tonight. So I'll look for that for next time.
I would be very happy to encourage you to send them to me because that's one thing that we would like to follow up on.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any old business or new business we have? DJ?
I think I've heard about potential plans for 72nd Street. And that maybe CB7 on the other side has already discussed it. And I thought I had heard it was maybe going to be on our agenda for one of these meetings.
You talking about the bike lanes
The
through?
bike, oh, okay.
That's
That is being considered to bring it up to the community board attention again. I'm not sure when, but DOT is planning on bringing it up to your, to discussion to your board.
They're not ready to do it yet, DJ.
Right.
They, there was talk of it and then they've been putting it off and I'm not sure, we'll try to, I don't know when we'll get some word that they may want to come. But we're running out of meetings in this year.
Right. Chuck, if I may, I'd like to make a suggestion regarding the portable boiler on 65th Street.
Sure.
I think that the building department should be knowledgeable about that, and perhaps the housing committee of the board could reach out to the building department liaison and find out exactly what's going on.
Yeah, the board office will do, I think we'll do that, Raphael, because I
Okay, excellent.
don't know what they're doing there. Yeah,
Just a suggestion.
thanks. Okay, any further things? Andrew, fine, you go ahead.
Hey, Chuck, thank you. And thank you, Raphael. I'm just wondering, is there any update on the Third Avenue pedestrian islands that are protected by only plastic sticks? I think that when they constructed these islands, they were temporary and they were supposed to be raised, but there's no protection really for pedestrians at all from cars or e-bikes or what have you. And secondly, I wondered if there was a follow-up. Perhaps Chuck informed you about the alternate side regulation street cleaning on Lexington Avenue between 59th Street and 96th Street. I'm just wondering if you've been informed on that. Thank you.
Well, well, I don't know if Raphael can do, I mean, the latest we had was, the letter saying they talked to sanitation and they didn't want to make any changes.
Yes.
Is that still, Raphael,
Yes.
is that still
Yes.
the situation?
Yes, that's been going on for a while, and there was a letter ultimately that indicating what you just said.
Right.
As far as the Third Avenue is concerned, I'm not sure, so I will find out, and I will let you know tomorrow.
Yeah, on Andrew, on that, I think that they said that, I think Craig had asked about that, and they said they're working on it. That things got a little delayed, but they're planning it. They want to move ahead on it, and we'll see if we can get better timeline on the Third Avenue stuff. And as Andrew said, they're doing all these islands and things like that. It's a redesign of Third Avenue. Yeah,
that's a pedestrian improvement project.
Correct. Yeah. Okay, so if you can get some information, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll get you an update tomorrow.
Great, thank you. Paul?
You're welcome.
Let's unmute Paul, yeah. There you go.
Thank you, Chuck. I'm going to say something which I think a lot of people would be surprised by, but I want to echo completely what Andrew just said. I completely support what he's saying. I think it's a mystery to me why we actually had the Third Avenue bike lane put in with so many things about it being great, not least of which the width, the offset turnings, but then we had this lack of concrete islands which First Avenue and Second Avenue have. So it's a mystery to me why we do that. I think they should be there. The proof is very clearly in the fact that almost all of those flexi posts are now flat on the ground. So I would love that to be done really, really soon. Thank you.
Yes, I know for some reason it's gotten delayed, Paul, but we'll follow. Raphael, get back to us hopefully soon.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Michelle, anything further then?
Yeah, thanks. I want to applaud Andrew. He said he wasn't going to ever mention Lexington Avenue again, but he's a fighter, and so he did. It's unbelievable to me that sanitation is thinking about whether or not an avenue, a major thoroughfare, should be cleaned. So that's an interesting thing that has taken upwards of about 3-4 years. Maybe that's even conservative. But what I wanted to ask was a question. I'm not sure about this. Raphael, you would know. Is the 72nd Street potential project considering both the bus lane and a bike lane?
The reason why I hesitate, because it is called a bike lane project.
It's called a what? Sorry, a bike lane project?
A bike lane project, yeah.
Bike lane.
But there's a bus there now.
Well, I think the bus lane would still be there.
Yes.
Well, that's my question. Will there be any passage for cars? Since it's a cross street.
Course. It's not a busway like 14th Street, for example. It is.
No, well, they took away all that. No.
Right.
But there is a bus lane, so there
Yes.
are buses.
So
and now if you're going to take away for a bike lane, and then you're going to then wonder why there's a lot of traffic going east-west. It will be a big mystery.
Well, you will have an opportunity to discuss and contribute to that
Good, I look
conversation
forward to it when it comes before us.
when it comes back to the community board.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood
Yeah.
what was being proposed.
Michelle, my sense is, it came before us a few years back and there was a hue and cry and, DOT basically retreated. They're coming back now, but they're hesitate. They've been hesitating a little bit to pull the trigger, I think, but
Well,
I think
that's good news.
well, I don't know that they
For
probably
me.
will be back.
All right,
Sebastian,
thanks.
Thank you, Chuck. I move to adjourn.
yes, okay, we second and we thank everyone and we are adjourned. Thanks very much. Take
Thank
care.
you, Chuck.
Care.